Hello and welcome again. Now in this section we are going to discuss about Google Cloud IAM called Identity and Access Management. So let's get started. So we break down this session and this service into multiple subtopics. We will start with Cloud IAM introduction. Simplicity first, like how simple is to use the Cloud IAM service. Enterprise grade access control, how you can provide the fine grained access control to your clients, employees and other partners. Enterprise identity made easy, the right roles and the granular resource control. Context aware access, built-in audit trail and smart access. So in Google Cloud IAM is actually provide the fine grained access control to resources within the project. Remember, every project have a different IAM regardless of billing. Unlike billing section, each project IAM is different. Let's say if you want to work with two projects, you need to be access on your email address on a specific project IAM. You cannot use one IAM to provide multiple project access. Unlike billing access, which is actually out of the project, and if you have a billing access, you can connect with multiple projects only for the billing purpose. So provide the ability to grant fine grained access control to resources within the project and allow us to compartmentalize access based on the work group. It means that you can provide the specific projects and resources for your users or a team to work on the same folders, tasks and resources and cannot enter any other projects and tasks. So Cloud IAM is actually designed with the simplicity in mind. You just need to click and then apply the policy as per requirement. Initially we have the owner access, editor access, read-only access and the browser access, and after that we have some other access which we will discuss later in this course. A clean universal interface which allow users to manage access controls across all Google Cloud platform consistently and on different projects without having an issue. Establishing enterprise with complex organization structures, hundreds of work groups, and provide a unified view into security policy across entire organization, because IAM have built-in auditing option as well. So enterprise identity made easy, and Google Cloud's built-in managed identity provide to easily create or sync user across account, application and projects. So you can use Google Cloud Identity Management in order to connect with multiple projects simultaneously. Google Cloud Identity will allow us to provision and manage users and groups. So what's the difference between user and groups? User actually a single entity and groups is a combination of multiple users. So if you want to apply some security on the specific number of users, you can use via groups. Set up single sign-on and configure multi-factor authentication directly from the Google Cloud Admin Console is the key option of Google Cloud. Let's talk about the right roles. So the Cloud IAM provide the right tools to manage resources permissions using specific users and groups. So what is granular resource control? Granular resource control is actually who can do what. It means that if a first person you provide access to the read access, you will give the second person to the write access. So every person have different permissions on different services. That is called the granular resource. Context aware access. So these policies actually help ensure that the appropriate security control are in place when granting access to the cloud controls without having an issue. Context aware access, you can say the IP restriction, geolocations restriction, these are the context aware access. It's an built-in audit trail as well. So what is audit trail? Audit trail is actually the history of permission authorization, that what you give permission, what they give access and what you need to provide in order to make them authenticated and authorized in a secure manner. This will allow user to focus on business policies around the resources, and this will make compliance easy. What is smart access? Smart access is actually the controlled resource permission using a variety of options. So we have different options in order to secure our resources and services. So before moving forward, let me explain the difference between resource and service. Service is what Google Cloud provides, just like Google Compute Engine is a service. Inside the Google Compute Engine, you are running a virtual machine. So your virtual machine is a resource. So is actually provide the resource permission using a variety of options. It means that if you are using the Google Compute Engine, you might need to read access of virtual machine or either write access of virtual machine. This will decide by the permission applied on your group with the help of identity and access management. Graphically help to provide this authorization and authentication using Google Cloud Platform IAM access. You can do this via programmatic access using the G-Cloud shell or the Google Cloud SDK and the programmatic access API calls, etc. Now let's summarize what we discussed related to the IAM. So IAM is actually the identity and access management, and it helps to secure your infrastructure by providing right security access to your clients. It scatters both simplicity and complexity, and is make it suitable for enterprise for various sizes, start from 1 user to 5,000 users. The fine grain control actually provide you the authorization and access who can do what. Like the user 1 can write the machine, user 2 can only read the machine. This is actually the fine grain control access. The user friendly interface actually enhance ease of use. So the next topic discussion. So in the next topic we will discuss about the IAM concept and concept related to identity and access management like authentication and authorization, and Cloud IAM resource hierarchy. I hope you enjoy my session. See you in the next lecture, but on the same topic. So let's discuss some tips and tricks related to the Cloud IAM, identity and access management. So the first tip is the Google Cloud IAM is a critical component of a Google Cloud ecosystem because it will prevent and preserve your account from miscellaneous access and unwanted access, and it will secure your infrastructure. So beware when you give access to someone, and related to the primitive role, predefined role and custom role. Always use the least privilege to the users so that they could do what they need, not what they want. The third thing is the focus on the IAM specific documentation and resources provided by the Google if you stuck somewhere, right? So let's say if you want to provide permission of a customized, use custom role. If the Google provide the predefined role as per your requirement, use the predefined role. And if you want to give the full access like owner, editor, browser and the read-only access, use the primitive role. Understand how to map job function within your organization to IAM roles effectively, and grab the concept of the context aware access, and recognize the significance of IAM audit trails like who can do what and who log in your account, who deleted the machine. You get all the details using audit trails. I hope you enjoy the session. See you in the next lecture. Now let's talk about the Google Cloud IAM concept. So IAM concept and concept related to the identity, concept related to the access management and Cloud IAM resource hierarchy is actually the main working functions of the IAM. Cloud IAM concept actually let you manage access control by defining who identity has what access role for which resources. So let's say you have to control your Google account. How will you control? So you have the policies and you have the roles. Remember, each role have multiple policies, and multiple policies combinations make a role, right? So if you create a policy, the policy comprise with the members and the roles. So policy is actually attached with the role, and the role is attached with the members. So we have 4 different type of members. One is the general Google accounts based on the Gmail address. Second is the service account, which actually help to communicate services internally by the Google Cloud. Third is the Google group, is the group of users, and 4 is the Google identity or G Suite domain, so that you could connect your internal or the on-premises authentication server like Active Directory, SAML servers, and the SAML integrations, so that you could use your existing or the on-premises user connect with the Google Cloud. So let you grant granular access to the specific GCP resources. So what is granular access? Granular access is actually the different permissions for different roles for different requirements. Let's say you have a network administrators and you have a system administrator. So in the network administrator, you will provide the network access resources using the primitive, predefined or custom roles, and for the system administrator, you will give permission to the specific system administration related services on the specific resources. So different resources, different services, and different users combinations are granular access. So let user adopt the security principle of least privilege. So user grant only the necessary access to the user resources. It means whenever you work with the users, provide the least privilege access. Now let's discuss the concept related to the identity. So we have the Cloud IAM user grant access to the members, and members can be the following type. We have already discussed the Google account, service account, Google groups, G Suite domains if you have a G Suite service, and the Cloud identity domain, which actually your on-premises user, Active Directory users, and the Samba users for Linux. So let's discuss these identity one by one. So first is Google account. So the Google account representative are developers or administrators or anyone who have the Gmail account. Second is the service account. So the service accounts belong to your applications instead of the individual end user, and this is because if the service is connected with another service within the Google, or the applications want to connect directly programmatically access with the specific Google services. Third is the Google groups. So the Google group is actually the collection of Google accounts and the service accounts comprised as a Google group. So you can apply the roles and policies and permissions directly on the Google groups. Each group has a unique email address that is actually associated with the group, so that you can apply directly policies and permission on the email address, and it will apply all the users connected with the group. G Suite domain is actually representative a virtual group of all the Google accounts that have been created in an organization's G Suite account. Google identity is actually might be the G Suite domain or the users which actually out of the box of Google. It includes the Active Directory users or any other third-party authentication users which actually link using the service account or the SAML integration, secure assert markup language. So the authentication will be held outside the Google, and the authorization will be applied using the Google Cloud IAM policies, which include the primitive role, predefined role, and a custom role. So Cloud identity domain, we have the all authenticated user, which is actually the special identifier that represent anyone who is authenticated with a Google account or a service account, and user who are not authenticated, such as anonymous visitors, which are not included in any Gmail, G Suite, Google groups, or Cloud identity domain. We have another type of Cloud identity domain called the all users. So this is the special identifier that represent anyone who is on the internet but not on the Google. It includes all authenticated and unauthenticated users. Now let's discuss about the concept related to the access management. So we have already discussed the identity, which is called the authentication. Now we are going to discuss the access management, which is called the authorization. So when an authenticated members attempt to access the resource, Cloud IAM check the resource like Cloud IAM policies to determine whether the action is allowed or not. User can grant access to users for a GCP resource, and some example of resources are project, compute, and cloud storage buckets. might be the Cloud Run, Google Kubernetes Engine, and others. These are the resources. So the permission determine what operation allowed on the resource. Let's say you have the resource like your virtual machines on your Google Compute Engine. Now the permission applied either the able to delete the machine or either to view or work with the machines. So it might be the read-only access, it might be the write access, or it might be the custom role which allow you to create a machine but not delete the machine. You will be create the instance volume like the storage volume but will not be attached or delete the volume. This can be the custom role. Now let's talk about the Cloud IAM role. So is actually the collection of permission. Like I said, multiple permissions and combinations of multiple permissions create a role. This role are predefined provided by Google. This role are primitive provided by Google, and this role can be the combination of custom permissions, and you can create your own custom role. So you cannot assign the permission to the user directly. Instead, you need to set up the multiple permissions, connect the role, and the role will apply on the user or the groups. So when you grant a role to a user, you grant them all the permission that the role contains. Let's say you have the permissions and the role. The role is the compute instance admin, but the permission is user can delete the instance, get the instance, list instance, get machine types, machine size, able to start a machine, able to stop the machine. So these are actually the permissions which is predefined in the compute instance admin role. So if you want to reduce any permission, you need to create a same role as a custom role, and if you want to use the same role, you can select from the predefined role. So there are three kinds of role in Cloud IAM: primitive role, predefined role, and custom role. If we talk about the primitive role, so the role historically available in the Google Cloud Platform console and will continue to work. These are the owner role, editor role, browser role, and viewer role. Second is the primitive role, predefined roles, which is the less access of the primitive role. This is actually the predefined role of the specific services and specific resources. And the third one is custom role, where you create your own permissions to set up a role as per your requirement. Now the allow policy is we can grant role to the user by creating a Cloud IAM policies is actually the collection of statements that define who has what type of access, like who can do what. This is actually the allow policy. So the policy is attached to the resource and is used to enforce access control whenever the resource is accessed using the specific roles and the combination of multiple permissions. So the allow policy is the bind with the members, which is the Google account, service account, Google groups, Google account, and apply on the specific projects. If you apply the specific projects, it automatically apply the inherit by the resources. Now the allow policy. So the GCP resources are organized hierarchically, where the organization node is actually the root node in the hierarchy, right? So the main top level hierarchy is the organization, which is your company name, and under the organization you have multiple folders, which is for only for the hierarchy purpose, not for the technical purpose. And then you have the projects. Each projects have the set of resources which will be applied and which will work for different clients or different projects. Now the projects are actually the children of the organization, and each organization have multiple projects. Each resources has exactly one parent, like the one project. You will not be able to see one resources on multiple projects. So this is actually the resource hierarchy. Google Cloud IAM resource hierarchy, which actually the organizations, folders, projects, and each projects have different set of resources. So Cloud IAM manage access control. This is actually the summary, ensuring granular access to the resource of GCP, adhering to the principle of the least privilege, like whenever you provide permission, always provide least privilege access. Access policies are defined through the roles and attached to resources. GCP resources are actually organized hierarchically under the organization nodes, right? And the system provide actually the precise control over resource access. It means whenever you need, you can increase or decrease the resource permission from custom role to predefined and predefined to primitive roles. Now we will do some hands-on lab. We will create some IAM user using my Gmail account. We will attach IAM policy with the appropriate user, and then we will configure the primitive, predefined and custom role, and we will check accordingly. So, and we will working with conditions, like we will apply different conditions. We will configure custom roles and check the results, and we will make project owner to the specific user and check the behavior. Always remember, when you grant the project owner to someone, it will receive the official email by the Google along with the link, and until this link will not be clickable, the user will not be able to make a owner. I hope you enjoy my session. So see you in the next lecture using some hands-on lab. Hello and welcome again. Now in this hands-on lab, we will perform some demo section related to authentication and authorization. So we will create a one IAM user like a Google email, but in our scenario we already have a Gmail account. So if you have a Gmail account, just use that and try to log in it on another browser. Like if you have a main account where you complete all the tasks, but you must have the second Google account so that you could check the policies after login using the incognito mode. So we will create use the existing Gmail account. We will attach the IAM policy, which is the primitive role, predefined role and a custom role, and we will check the behavior. And then we will, after checking, we will increase from least privilege to the most privilege, like start with the read only to edit, verify and then owner access. So let's get started. So we have a project called the GC weekdays, and we already have some users over there, but we will check our test users using to add one of our new user on Gmail and then try to log in on another browser. Now we have a user called the sherdil.biz@gmail.com. So let me copy this user. This is the actual user where we will test. As you can see, we have only one account, GCP Moin, let's say, but no other projects are exist. So what we will do, we will allow this user to use my GC weekdays projects. Now I am in this user, my usman.vcp user. So let me go and grant access. Now principal means the user, the email address. So let me add my email, this email address. Okay, this email address should be created and existed. Now let's go and assign role. If I show you the assign role, start with the primitive role. So these are the primitive role. Let me cancel and show you the IAM access. So you need to open the Google Cloud Console using cloud.google.com and select the project whom you want to give access to the users, and then go of the three line on the left hand side, select IAM, identity and access management, and then you will be there. Then go view by principal, view by roles. So I need to go view by principal and then grant access to one of my new user. Paste it here and then select a role. So these role are actually the combination of primitive role and a predefined role. So start with the basic of viewer access. As you can see, these are the 5 roles: viewer, owner, editor, browser. Sorry, 4 roles we have here. Start with the viewer. Viewer mostly Google Cloud resources. See the list of included permission. So let me give you viewer access and then save it. Once I save it, I need to find out where is my user. Yeah, this is my user and this is the role. Now let's go back and check on the user end that if they received this GC weekdays project access or not along with the viewer access. Now let's check. Currently I don't have any project available, so let me refresh. And then check. No available. But if I go to the all button, as I can see, there's a GC weekdays project available. This is the actual project which I assigned to this user, Sherdil.base. Now I am in this project. If I go to the IAM of this project, let me see what can I do. What access do I have as this user? Now if I go and check, I don't have any grant access option available. Why? Because I myself as a viewer access, but let me try to create some resources. Let me go and check more product, go and check, let's say, compute engine, and try to create a machine and check is it available for the VM instance or not. Let me try to create an instance. As you can see, there is the gray button on the create instance. I am unable to create an instance, but yes, I can see the machines which will exist in this instance options, but currently there is no option available. Why? Because this is the read only access. You can say this is the viewer access. So if it's the viewer access, it means I cannot open any instances here, neither create a new machine. So I cannot create anything because the viewer access is not for the specific service, is for the whole Google Cloud project regardless of any service. It means if I select any service, I am able to see the services instead of create a service. So the next option is to increase the permission from viewer to editor or browser. So let me see, after changing the permission type, what can I do as this user. Now again I am in the Sherdil IT, so I am clicking in this user select and click on the edit button. So I will not change a principal, instead I will change the role using basic viewer to editor or browser. So access to GCP browse resources. So viewer and browser, a difference is I can browse the GCP resources but still I cannot edit. So instead of going browser, let's check in the edit section. So what's the difference between editor and owner? Editor is view, create, update and delete most Google Cloud resources, and owner full access to most cloud resources. Like as a owner I can delete the project as well, but in the editor I cannot delete the project. The rest of the items are same. So 80 to 90% services of editor and owner are the same. So let me click on the editor, test changes. Let me test. So Google is now testing this service that it will affect or not, and if it's selected unable to simulate because there were too many logs, no problem. Let me propose the change. We will check directly on the customer account. Now let's check in the customer account. As you can see, currently I had a viewer access as a sherdil.base, this email address. Now let me refresh because I've already changed to editor. Now in the IAM section, I can create a user as well, or I can create a machine. Like as you can see, this is the old access where I had the viewer access. Now I have a editor access, so I can just refresh. Now you can see I can create a machine as well. Why? Because I have the editor access. Same for IAM. If I go, so currently I don't have any access for grant permission. Why? Because the grant access still have a root access. Editor might not be able to do this. So let me refresh and check that. Like I said, yeah, as editor I cannot do this. If I go and check editor, I told you that the owner and the editor have a very limited difference. Rest of the items are same. So as the owner I can create a grant access and I can delete the resources project as well along with the resources. But in the editor mode I can just delete the resources, but I cannot delete the project nor buy the access to provide anyone. So this is the basic IAM of editor and viewer. Now let's check the third point, which is called the owner. So let's check. So now let me go and change. Remember, when you create a owner access, anyone, Google Cloud send an email to the user in order to accept. So pending invitation. So whenever you provision or escalate to owner to someone, the owner will not be accepted by this user until click on the link provided by email. So let's go and check the email of this specific email Gmail account. Let me open the Gmail, mail.google.com. As you can see, join my project Google Cloud. Click on this button. Accept invitation. Now I have the ownership. Let me refresh. If I refresh this option, I can see my project ID, other options, and I think I am able to create a user as well. So let me go and refresh. So owner is the only option if you grant access to provision a user on IAM. As you can see, now I am able to grant access. Why? Because my Sherdil account is the owner account. So I can click on grant access and provide access to anyone. So this is the primitive role. So what we learned how to use the primitive role like viewer, browser, editor, and owner. In the viewer section, you cannot do anything except the listing. In the browser section, same thing except to browse the some services and resources. In the editor option, as a user, you can do or perform all jobs except to add anyone in the IAM and to create a provision or delete a project. So these two options are available as the owner. So once I move this user or upgrade this user to owner, now this user can not only create a user or grant the user, but also delete the resource and projects as well. This is actually the primitive role. Now let's discuss about the predefined role. So in the predefined role, we will discuss in the next section. Thank you. Now let's talk about the predefined role. In the last video, we have already discussed the primitive role and we check with some policies applyment using primitive browser role, editor role, owner role, and viewer role. These roles are actually a suite of permissions and policies. Now if you want to give permission only the compute engine service or the virtual network service, it will not possible to use the primitive role. You need to go with the predefined role. So let's check how we can use the predefined role in order to apply the specific service based policies. Let's get started. So we have the account Sherdil.biz. Let me change the policy here to owner to the compute predefined role compute, yeah, or the network. Let me go to the network first. So if I go to the network, compute network admin full permission, compute network viewer, compute network user, editor, GCP network, network analyzer, and other services. So let me service network, full networking with projects. Okay, so full control of service networking. So instead of using this, let me check the compute network viewer role. Okay, so let me apply this role and save this. Now policy was out of date, right? So add owner, and now adding proposed changes to network viewer, invited project owner, and remove owner. So these two roles will be removed along with policies, and this role will be added. Remember, role is actually the combination of different policies. Let me update. Now check the impact. The policy we applied is a compute network viewer. It means I can just view the services, but I will be unable to create or provision any resource. Now this is my user end. So let me refresh. As you can see, this is a GC weekdays is my project name, whom apply the specific policy. As you can see, you need additional access. CG weekdays console. Okay, so what? Let me go. Click on all. Okay. So as you can see, I don't have any access. Why? Because only apply the specific resource access is not feasible. So I need to go to the main user and apply the project based policy as well. So what I need to do, I just need to go and check the policy related to the project. IAM admin, project mover. So we have different project option, project billing manager, project admin. So these are the different permissions which I need to give so that it could work on the project. Or I can do to main apply the viewer access. Okay, so let me give same changes. Okay, now we have applied the compute viewer, network viewer, and the only viewer option. It means the user can go and check the project. Now you can see the user have the compute network viewer and the simple viewer. It might be collide with each other because the whole viewer access include the network viewer. So let me go and change the viewer access to the editor access. So the rest of the items can only view, but only compute network access have the editor access. So let me change and check again. Meanwhile, we can see that the GC weekdays projects are now able to see on my client account sherdil.biz@gmail.com. Now let me go and check the editor and then change. Let me click on compute and check which type of compute service do I have. we have the compute admin access as well. So let me click on full compute engine resources. So let me put it the compute admin and check that how it's collide with the viewer. It should work the full admin access in the compute side, while the rest of the services should access as a viewer. So let me save this. That's completed. Now go and check to apply these services on my client account. Now let's check let me refresh this. And in the refresh sections I can see that I have the compute admin and the viewer access. So let me go and check my compute machines, and let me open other services as well. Let's say let me open the storage service. Let me go and check the storage, let's say the cloud storage, and let me see that how it's work. And it's a compute console, and if I go and try to create a bucket, I'm unable to create. Why? The reason behind that, if you go and check my policy apply on this user, currently I am connecting and I'm here as this user Sherdil.biz, not a full admin. So I have the full viewer access on all the services: BigQuery, Kubernetes, Docker, App Engine, Cloud Storage. But the compute admin include the Google Compute Engine, and the virtual network is the full network admin. So if I go to check the viewer except the compute side, like the bucket, I am unable to create a bucket. If I click refresh, I cannot do anything. I cannot even display anything because the storage is empty right now. But if I go to the compute instance side, I can create a new instance. I am able to create a new instance. Why? Because I have the compute admin access. But if I change the compute admin to the viewer, you will see that the create instance option will be wipe out. So let's check it. Let me change this option, compute admin, compute. If I go to the compute, and instead of using compute admin, let me find out the compute viewer access. Compute admin, compute viewer, this one, compute viewer. And now changes applied. Now check this. If I refresh this, and refresh this as well, I am still able to create an instance, but it will not deploy directly. If I go to the create instance, it might be given error. Let me refresh here. Yeah, but it will give me an error. So as let me check, is a compute viewer option, so I can just view. So let me try to create a machine, instance 1, small machine, the general purpose, and the vCPU is 0.25 to 32. And we have E2 medium, like but we can use this one, small machines. It might be possible that this policy will not work here, compute, but let me check here. So if I go container, boot disk is Debian dashboard, full default options, and then create. Oh, so what's happened here? Required compute instance create permission. So I started to create provision this machine, but I don't have the compute instance create permission. That's why it given error. So if you want to give the specific permission, you need to go to the custom role. Right now we have the predefined role, which is just allow you to view your role. I hope you learn about the predefined role sections, and then we will go and check with the custom role. See you in the next lecture. Thank you. Now let's talk about the custom role. We have already discussed the primitive role, the predefined role. Now we are going to discuss the custom role. So let's start it. For the custom role, what we need to do, we need to add the specific permission which is not exist in this role, because these are the primitive roles. So we need to create the custom role as per our requirement. So let's go and check the role option in the left hand side and create our custom role. So custom role is actually include different permission. Let's say I can add a permission to create a machine but cannot delete the machine, or to delete the machine but cannot create a machine. So let's check. Let me create a role and I will add my custom role. Okay, so the role name is my custom role. Remember, the alphabet should be small. Okay, ID is good. Alpha role stage is alpha. We have the journal availability disable alpha. Beta means is in the testing stage. Alpha means is near to the journal availability. So let me click on the journal availability and click add permission. So it will give you all the permission is 8,878 permissions. So let me filter it. Network is a network admin, compute network, network analyzer, service network, edge network viewer, network admin, compute network viewer. So let me add the compute network viewer option. And click on this. Okay, so this is actually the role. I've already filtered permission by role. So these are the permissions. So what can I do in the compute network viewer option? I can get the, it's a compute network means the compute option, compute address get, firewall, VMs, instance list, instance get. So instance get options and then add. So these option address get like the public IP and the instance get, but it's not allow you to create a machine. Let me add another permission called the network, simple network, not a compute network. Network as a network admin. If I click the network admin, this is the role network admin. Let me click that. Now this is the options: bare metal network quota, network delete, network create. So let me click the delete option. okay, and the get option, but it will not create. It will not create, but just get and delete option. Let me add this. Now let's check the policy what we applied. So let me show you. I added the network delete, network get, compute address, compute get, and let me add another permission here. Call the network. As you can see, is a network admin, network access, network management, admin, compute network user, compute network admin, network connectivity, network management. So let me check the policies. Network management, complete set, connectivity list. Okay, so if I select the filter network and check the overall policies, as you can see, there's a 906 policies available. The compute address list. If I go more, global forwarding rule. Now I need to find out base compute network attachment, interconnect. Remember, these are with the compute level. Endpoints, network access, peering. Let's check more. Network list, network get, compute network create. So I'm not adding create, I'm just adding delete option. Okay, and then it's good. Let me create this policy. Okay, the policy is adding. And then I need to apply use instead of your role. Let me check custom. Let me check if I have any custom, my custom role. As you can see, there's a my custom role available. Save. Now let me go and check that. So let me refresh. And refresh as well, and refresh as well. So if I check Google permissions, as you can see, is a my custom role, which I've already added the create delete network, but not create network. So if I go and check VM instances, let's check which type of policy to apply. If I go to the storage side and then open the network as well, network, let's check I am able to create a network or not. As you can see, I am unable to see the create instance, and I am unable to create a bucket as well. I don't have any permission. But if I go to the network side, I cannot create network, but let me try to delete any network. Is a Vakar VPC, let's say. Click on Vakar VPC and then try to delete VPC. Yes, here we go. I am able to delete a network, but I am unable to create a network. Why? The reason, because in the custom policy required compute firewall delete permission. Why? Because I need to add this permissions as well. Delete permission. So instead of get that, let me just delete any subnet, not the whole network. Let me go to the Vakar VPC. As you can see, Vakar VPC is deleted, but the firewall is not deleted. Firewall have different permissions, so it means I am able to delete my VPC easily, Vakar VPC, but the firewall is remaining, which is the separate topic, right? So that's the custom role. I hope you enjoy my session. So what we discussed the primitive role, predefined role, and a custom role, and is completed. Hope you enjoy my session. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.